Welcome to the Fatty Z Muskie Podcast. I'm Andy. Joined on the phone, I have Vance. Hi, Vance.
Hi, good evening.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Are you nice and cooled off?
I am, yeah. I have the AC going.
That's right. Perfect. And Todd, how are you?
I'm good, Andy, and always remember shoot him in the leg.
Yes, and you are not in Chautauqua right now. You went home.
I went home for 3 days here. Yeah.
Slacker.
Yep. Yeah.
Home is nice.
When you're away for a month straight, there's a lot of chaos going on here, so see if we can get that all taken care of.
That's right.
And for
Yeah, very nice. So, these plugs. Fat AZ Muskie products, fatazmuskie.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Vance, you said that when are we going to be dropping that, the review bait lot, I guess we want to call it.
So the lot from last show, I put it up on a waffle site. Those are the correct words. Raffle site. Future of our Muskies. And it's running there. I'm going to let it run throughout the holidays. People might not be paying attention to it because of that right now, because they're looking to, get out and be in their boats for the holidays. But that is up right now, and that's how we're going to do it for the future ones as well. It's going to be $5 a spot, and the winner takes all of them, all three of them. And yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to run it.
Okay, so Vance, I have a question here. I've never done this before, and I'm sure we have some listeners that haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be the only one.
I've never done it.
So
if I want to buy a spot, what do I do? I don't know how to do that.
So unfortunately, Facebook has a double-edged sword at points, but this is our avenue to do this. You have to join the group Future of Our Muskies. You will then scroll down and find that pinned post, because it is a charity raffle. And you go on there and you just say, I want X amount of spots. I want 5 spots.
Yeah.
It'll cost you $25. You send it over to me on PayPal. It'll be drawn by the page moderator when see fit. And if you win, you get 3 nice lures that we just tested. And all of those proceeds are going to go to the Minnow Fund.
Since
yes. I'm a member. Real quick, Andy. I'm a member, I think, because I got this. I saw that came up because we tagged it with Fat AZ and Muddy Creek. I believe I'm a member of that site. So all I do is, you just say the money goes. How does it tell you where to send the money? I don't know what to do.
It's in the description.
Okay.
If you read it, it's kind of a book, but if you read it at the end, there's important things. Send money to here, and this is for what the charity is going to.
So Facebook isn't keeping track. Like, you have to keep track and say, okay, yeah, because I see people writing, you're paid.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's it's work on my end. Like, I have to make the list and make sure these people paid, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So
thank you.
If you're not part of the group, and some of these groups that you join can take like a week to get in, are they pretty active with allowing new members in this group?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not like, I want to join this group for this specific raffle. Please let me in, whatever. There might be a question, there might not be. It might just be instant join. This is something you can hop on pretty quick, find it, and then take your chances here on the review baits. And there's other baits on the site as well.
Yes.
But yeah, just kind of hit a little recap on this one. These are the exact 3 baits. These are not some bait and switch. This is the actual baits that were in my hands, that were in Steve's hands, Vance's hands, and Todd's hands. We did the review show last episode. It was the official review show, bait review show number 1. We will be doing another one at the end of July and another one at the end of August for this year. Approximate end of the month. So, with that, some really sweet baits. If you're interested in it, please go check that out. And all the money is going to be going to Muskies Inc. To buy the minnows. So someone might ask, why is it going to this address? The reason it's going to this address, and what I mean by this address, this PayPal address, is because it makes a nightmare for the AZ account to have a whole bunch of little deposits coming in that aren't tracked. So they are going to Vance's. That will then, he will collect it all up. It'll all be right there. It'll be sent off to the AZ account, which then it will go to Muskies Inc. Just for transparency, that's the reason why I said that. We are not pocketing a nickel from this. So, kind of moving on from there, I did get a shipment of rod holders in today. If anyone's been watching the website, I did put up the little, the verbiage saying that I was out of Down East. Well, I am not out of Down East temporarily. I begged and pleaded, and Steve sent me 36 more, which 20% of them are already gone. I just got them in the UPS today.
That's terrible.
So I have them. I don't know when the next shipment's going to be, but I'll kind of keep that up, and we will we'll get through this together. From there, baits. I still believe Muskie Tackle Online and Team Rhino Outdoors has baits. How's Hogan's Hut doing?
Oh, they're slimming down majorly. They had like 2 sections of the wall filled, and they still got some, but it's over one corner section now. It's sold an extraordinarily large amount, which is great. I've had numerous people, I think I said that last time, I had it happen again. Numerous people stop to get their license, say, I want one of those baits, come out on the trip, and they get to catch fish on their brand new bait once I sharpen the hooks for them.
Yeah, breaking them in.
Yeah, tee them. Always tee your hooks. Always sharpen your hooks.
Yeah, there's ones up there
That's
that
happening.
Yeah, there's ones there that I want.
Well, open your wallet, cheapskate.
I might have to stop this.
I'm not doing that.
One of my
I want that crappy soft tail, because crappy's sneaky good.
Oh yeah.
It's sneaky layered too. I mean, people that don't look at the baits, there's an extra layer or two in there that most people won't see unless you're looking through the paint.
Yeah, I have one crappy left that's destroyed, and I want those baits very badly.
I don't even have a crappie.
Neither do I.
I don't. I had one of my old Blem walleyes, one of the ones, Andy, you'll know what I mean. It was leaking a little bit, and a Blem, so it was mine, and a soft tail, and I've been using it for 3 or 4 years. It caught a bunch of nice fish already this season. A fish decided to smash it off the side of the boat here the other day. I didn't notice it when we were fishing. I was like, man, something's wrong with that bait. It just wasn't tuned up in it. You know, where that little Blem was?
Yep.
Where the soft leak was, the bait was cracked right there. So it was pulling to one side. I ended up snapping it off, took the eye screws out, and threw it in the garbage. Gone.
Well, I guess instead of retiring it, you just took it to pasture.
I got so much crap hanging around, retired. I said, you're done. You served your purpose.
Oh my gosh.
Man, I hate to be Nana in your house. Sorry, but
you're done.
You're done. It's over.
I'm looking at these charts here, and this. I'm sorry, but this is beyond repair. So you might want to close your eyes as you rack a shell in.
I looked at it as two hooks that are already sharp, and
Value and eye screws.
And 3 extra eye screws. That's 21 cents a piece or whatever they are. I don't remember.
Man, I know that you have 2 functional kidneys, and I'm sure that liver could grab in real nice.
Jeez. Hilarious.
Yeah, and I just for clarification, when Todd says a leaker, these baits are not hollow. But it's a terminology that we use. It is just a spot that does not set up, and it kind of oozes juice, and the paint doesn't adhere to it.
Won't hold paint, yeah.
So
and that's why
we do weed them out.
I did it right in front of the guy that after it happened. He was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's time to harvest the organs from this bait. It's over. It's done."
You've only got a few minutes to harvest the organs.
I need this tail. I lost the tail too the other day. I need the tail. I need all kinds of stuff. So it's done.
That was an Office reference.
That was an Office reference, yes. Great scene.
That one of my favorites.
Yep.
So
Hogan still has them. Check them out. Muddy Creek Fishing Guides, mcfishingguides.com. Get a hold of us. Still a few days here, floating here and there. I get some cancellations, and I think probably Vance is probably in the same boat. So if you know when you're coming, get a hold of us. We'll do our best to get you out there and get you on some fish. I'm getting a lot of calls for like fishing Pennsylvania right now. It is described on the website, but I mean, we're there April and May. And now it's full bore at Chautauqua Lake, so we will not be back in Pennsylvania till next April, barring any major catastrophe in the wonderful state of New York.
Perfect.
Truth. Yeah, very nice. And if you do come out and fish with us, you'll be fishing out of Ranger Boats. Shout out to them. Get all your Ranger Boats needs at Vic Sports Center in Kent, Ohio. Check them out for service. I know they're on hold right now, as all dealers are for ordering boats. Pop in, see if they have some used boats coming up. And, they do Star Worlds, Starcrafts, Tritons, Ranger boats. Decent on service this time of year. I know they're slower because they can't get boats in. So check them out. Fishermen that set up boats. St. Croix rods, best rods on earth. We use them, abuse them, all that good stuff. Can't complain about them this year. Check them out. And that is it for me right now. Andy, you're just way better at this next one.
I know. I'm already teed up here. So, what's the one thing that you use in your boat the most? The floor. Yes. I don't know, unless you can defy gravity, and if you have anti-gravity shoes, you don't need a boat, right? Mm-hmm. So why not treat your legs, your calves, your knees, your hips, your low back, all that stuff to the best floor available? And
your leg core, your arm core.
The Marine Corps,
the Marine Corps
uses this. Yeah. I got 2 of them. Professional bass fishing equipment.
Okay.
Another Office reference.
I know. Sorry.
So, with all that, carpet is kind of becoming a thing of the past. I'll admit it. I like carpet. I've recarpeted boats. It looks nice when they're new, but it just doesn't wear well with time if you're using it. And if anyone here has pulled up carpet before, it is disgusting underneath it. Have you guys ever done that?
I've done that, yeah. It's very foul.
There's just such a fine sedimently silt, and just it's gross stuff. And it takes a long time to dry. I know Todd has complained about that in the past, putting box fans in his boat. To kind of dry it out from just getting stuck in the rain or what have you, and it smells. And so, what are your options? How about this? How does this sound? Non-slip, easy to clean, sound dampening, great style, and it provides extra comfort. I'm talking about Aquatraction. How am I doing on this sell? I think I'm sounding pretty good.
It's really freaking good.
So rather than carpet or vinyl, take a look at this 100% cross-linked closed-cell polyethylene foam. That closed cell means it's not going to sit there and absorb stuff like a sponge. So it's kind of like spray foaming, your house. That stuff isn't going to absorb anything there because like there's little bubbles that they're not like all linked together to where stuff can diffuse their way through. This is just going to be on the surface. It's really great at fighting stains. So great that it's even, I'm reading it right here, 100% stain resistant with no shrinking and no peeling. They measure your boat. This is for your boat. There's slight differences between all these boats, even if it's the same model. They are making this to your boat. They got a fast turnaround, and it is all cut on CNC stuff. It's digitized. It's in CAD. This is some really cool stuff. I mean, it's so great. I'm afraid to use my boat. Like, that's how nice it is. I mean, there's
an excuse.
It's July, and I just can't get over. I just don't want to muddle this up.
It took a little bit just because we could use COVID for an excuse to get it in there, and to get it in your boat and my boat. It was more important in my boat.
But, says you.
With you, I was like, probably isn't going to be used until 16 weeks from now.
The week of the 4th when I have time.
When you have your time off, yes.
So.
And you're fishing in the dark. You won't even get to bask in the beauty of it.
That's okay. I'll know it's there because I won't be slipping and sliding and falling overboard in the middle of the lake.
It's true.
Left to swim.
True.
But
this stuff is great. I mean, that was a great selling point, but like just for me having it in my boat right now, it's one of the coolest features in it. It's freaking awesome.
Nice. So if you're interested in this, check out Aquatraction. You can also contact Nick at amfmarine.com. That is his website. His email, his website's amfmarine. He's our local dealer. If you're not in our area, look up Aquatraction. They probably have a dealer network that you can find and take a look at and, consider it. So, all right. That was my extra professional plug.
It was. I actually saw somebody that is getting that done from Nick at AMF Marine today, pulling their boat out.
Somebody that listened to the podcast and man, Andy's great at this.
Yes, absolutely. But they didn't have any seats in their boat. I was like, where the hell are your seats? They were like, well, we're getting the floor done. I was like, well, that's also illegal. You kind of have to have your driver's seat. Isn't that a thing? You have to have your driver's seat.
Yeah, it needs to be affixed to the floor.
Yeah. Yeah, they were like rocking chairs.
Okay, well, yeah. So, yeah, that would be cause if you're there with, you're like, yeah, yesterday.
That person should be wearing the lanyard for the kill switch.
Yeah. Would that be a FUPA?
Yeah.
The FUPA. Yes.
Oh, I saw that too.
Yeah, that's why it reminded me.
I broke my FUPA too the other day.
You did what?
You did.
I was just standing there. I had it around my neck, and the FUPA fell right to the forepaw.
That's a big FUPA if it's around your neck.
That is.
You got to hit the treadmill.
That is Hall of Fame size.
The FUPA fell to the floor, but it almost bounced in the water. I caught it. Thank God.
Man, you got lucky there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it would float. But
I'm not sure of that.
You can. I don't know if it will. You can touch my FUPA.
I prefer not.
And it's a touch screen. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do well.
It's so bad.
Probably.
It's really, really bad. The touch screen for musky fishing, because when you're moving and casting and jerk baiting and doing whatever, it bounces off, say, your chest or
In a turn,
I like to keep mine like in the holster, like off of my like right leg, and it'll start like touching things. I'm like, how did we move off this drift? I feel like this is the first time I've ever fished in my entire life. And I look down at it and I have autopilot on.
And you couldn't see your shoes.
And yes, my fupa.
I was just, the way you were describing it, it fit like filling a black garbage bag full of cottage cheese and it just swinging around down there.
Well, that's what happens, but it's like, it just needs to touch something, you know, like clothing. Or,
well, I'm sure it's pressed up tight against the clothing. You could see the individual threads.
Yes.
You lay a pin sideways
bursting.
against it, it's going to burst.
It is bursting at the seams. But this touch screen is, you know, when you're jerking and boom, ba boom, ba boom, it touches your clothes and it sends it and all these things. And I'm recording a track and all this crap. I'm like, God.
Okay, now I saw that on the every 2 weeks Muskie podcast for us. What did we ever? What's it called? Did the
key? You were trying to go with a key fob, but you called it a fupa.
I called it a fupa,
which is a
key fob.
Key fob, yeah.
Which like
or I call it the remote. A fupa is like was it an acronym for fat upper area?
No, it's fat around the private area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember that, but when I saw that, I said, you know, I really don't remember what it's called. I call it
my remote.
Remote, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think that's what it's called. Like the remote can track, you know, store up to 6 tracks.
Yeah.
It's a fupa.
Mm-hmm. It is from now on.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be. So, okay, I don't even know what we were talking about.
Aqua traction.
No. Well,
yeah, we were good with that. And then I think that's all the plugs.
That's all the plugs. We got on the FUPA rabbit hole. So, all right. Now that we completely derailed this one,
we're back to normal. That was too.
We were joking about my boat.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm hoping to take that thing out. Oh, I made something fun. So, I haven't tried it yet, so this could be a huge, embarrassing failure and a disaster, and I'll know about it with my headlamp on. So here's a poor man's hack for a planer board mast. So I had my eyes on an electric planer board mast this spring. I had my order in, and this was a sizable order from this one company we were working with, and I'm not going to go into the details of it, but it's not a good situation. It involves people's health, and things are not looking good for this one person. But you know, it ended up not happening. I ended up not getting the masts and a whole bunch of track that I had placed an order with, and time was kind of running out. But in all reality, it's not, because I didn't need it in early June, and I may need it in early July, all the way till August, and then I'm going to put the boat away for the year because it's getting late in the season when you hit August. You guys are laughing because I'm so hardcore, so someday you'll understand. But anyways, I was looking at building my own electric mast, and I start looking, and for anyone out there that believes that they could build those masts are not cheap. If you think you can build them cheaper, be my guest, because I looked at it and I looked into the stuff and I found the motors and all this. They are priced where they need to be, that you will not go out and try to build your own. And they have it figured out. But where it gets me is like the switches. The switches and the housings and stuff are not, they don't come with the masts. You have to buy them separate or supply your own. And that was kind of like I'm not going to go ahead and do the switches. And I had 2 other masts that were going to go with mine, so they're going to be a 3 electric mast order. And I scrapped that idea, but it still didn't leave my brain. So I came up with this, and it's not ideal, but it's the first stage of a prototype. I got for like $50. Now, I got 2 pulleys for the top of my mast, like most big masts have, is they have pulleys. A predominant brand of masts out there will sell the pulleys for like $100 a piece. Well, I pulled 2 pulleys that are like they're not the same, but they're going to probably work very well for $20 shipped off Amazon. So $20 for the pair, so $10 a piece. So I'm like, oh, man, I'm already $80 ahead on this. Well, I'm $180 ahead on this because I would need 2 pulleys. My mast is a homemade mast that I would just kind of like hand line out after selling my last Erie boat. And so I got my pulleys, and I'm like, what can I use to pull in the boards? And I went from like 4-wheeler winches, like Harbor Freight 4-wheeler winches, and it just like they didn't have the take up. It'd take me 10 minutes to get them in, plus the duty cycle. It just wouldn't even, like the winch couldn't handle it based off of those specs. So what I ended up settling on is a 2-speed boat winch that you hook the bow tie to, and you winch your boat up. And instead of the hand crank, I welded honkin' nuts on this. I made a little eyelet guides, and I made the spool diameter bigger. And I have no idea if it's going to work, but I'm going to go out there with my cordless drill, and I'm going to set these things out. And when it's time to bring them in, it's going to be me out there with the drill, bringing them in. For $50, I got the winch shipped and the pulleys. I already have an electric drill. You put one of them socket adapters on it and give it a go. Yes, I'm going to be bringing in both at the same time and setting them both out at the same time, which could be problematic, but it could also not be if you do it right. But that's a modification I made on my boat this year.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's incredible. It sounds. I used the mast system quite a bit at one point in my life, and I don't know that electric. Even the electric ones, I always wonder. Like when I'm pulling it in, sometimes you're in big waves and that thing's bouncing, and when you're doing it by hand, you can kind of keep an eye on that.
Mm-hmm.
Those electric ones, I've always wondered, like, man, you just hit go and it starts coming in. What if that thing varies a wave and flips over or something?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a level of.
Is there like a pulse? Is there like a pulse on it?
I think it's a straight DC motor. You flip the switch and it's turning.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been running from storms on St. Clair where it was a little bit of a chore to get that thing in, but you had to watch how you're bringing it in. It gets up near the boat, it wants to dive, and I could just see bad things happening, but I don't use them every day, so.
Well, now you have full control with your DeWalt hand drill.
Yes, you could just stop, take your finger off the trigger.
And it has the little clicker to you stop, and it does whatever. But my boards are not big, and I looked. The reason I got the 2-speed, and all it is that there's actually 2 drive, like 2 input shafts. You pick the upper one, and it's the faster ratio. You pick the lower one, it's the slower. I have no idea what is fast and not fast.
Yeah,
bringing these things in. I could be on high range on the drill on the fast setting of the shaft, and it could just still be too slow. I could also be on the slow shaft in low range on the drill, and it could be way too fast.
Then skipping waves.
Right,
yeah.
and it's.
But Andy, have you ever heard of that? You're more in tune with the Erie guys. Have you heard of issues with the electric?
No.
Masts?
People are loving them, and I haven't actually touched one, but I imagine that there probably is a clutch system on that. to where
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
the big John masts that you have that center knob to turn, so
Yeah.
you're not going to just stall it out. So like if it does take a dive, you're not going to
Mhm.
rack some stuff up. I mean, that only makes sense to have the clutch there.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that something like this works, and then I can just share to people like, look, this is what I did for this much. For the 6 times I might go out on Erie this year, this saves me at 2 a.m. Because I have to do everything at the same time. I can't put one board out and let the line out. They both have to be in the water. So I might have to peel off 12 feet of line, hook up both boards, throw them off to the side. They're both in the water.
Yeah.
I can then, take some tension off the spool, put the thing into neutral, and just kind of like feather it out with my hand and a glove on the ropes. And I just when they're out far enough, I lock it, and then when it's time to bring them in, hook up the thing and go slow and maybe put the boat in neutral, just have them reel it in. But what I was doing before was I have a hook up high, a hook down low, and kind of like the best way I can describe it is those ice fishing rods that don't have a reel. How you just kind of wrap it around the 2 pegs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was doing. But if I'm doing that at 4 a.m., that kind of sucks. If I could kind of not have to be standing up there doing that, and I could just kind of throw something in neutral, maybe I'd come up with a brake system. But that's my new little thing that my poor man's hack that I was working on for the boat. And I kind of don't want to try it at 4 a.m. I'd prefer afternoon trip to see what I'm doing so it don't backlash on me, wrap around my feet, and I get pulled off the boat.
You turn the drill in reverse to let them out, and when it turns daylight, they're
2 feet from the side of the boat.
yeah, 2 feet, or they're 150 yards. Where's the boards?
Yeah, there's nothing there, and all the board lines wrapped up in the motor.
Yeah.
But so that's my little update with the boat.
I wish I could go with you to experiment with that, but I can't.
Yeah, I hope that I get to experiment with it this year too. So, but that's my boat update.
Beautiful.
Anything fun with you guys?
Oh, it's all fun.
Fun and games till someone gets hurt.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I don't think we've gone over any gripes, right, about boats.
No,
What's
I mean mine's kicking butt. There's no complaints on my end.
Yeah.
Why is it not paradise for you?
Well, no, I mean, of course not. I think I told that Gorilla Tape story. Did I tell the story about how I sheared that cotter pin
No, I don't know about the cotter pin.
on the
Kicker.
yeah, on the kicker? I didn't say that.
Okay, I know this story now because I saved
Well,
you.
we talked about it. Yeah, well, you didn't save me. I called you for a reference.
And from the bleachers, who hit it right?
Okay.
You would have. I deserve a little credit. You wouldn't have been able to find it. Slow clap. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. But yeah, so I fired up my kicker. It was just running. I was doing like a quick troll, and then I had an evening charter, and I went and dropped. I dropped the people off. I come back. I go to the same spot, drop the kicker, fire it up. Everything's good. Hammer down on the throttle, and it's just like, vroom, and I'm not moving. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is interesting. I'm gonna turn it off.
Let me check the checklist. Motor running, put in gear.
Yes.
No go.
But prior to that, let me just try like the hard reset first. I'm just going to turn this key to the left. Pretend that didn't happen. So I do that, and I turn it back on. Same thing happens, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, it's like, the first like 5-10 minutes of meeting somebody, and they're like, wow, what a boat. This is crazy nice. And I'm like, yeah, it's not working here.
Do you hear how much power this has?
Like, just need a minute here. So I look back, and I've broken many kickers and big motors in my life. So I knew it was a throttle thing initially. But so you start following wires at that point. When you kick it into gear, I remember when I broke my Yamaha 20. When you kicked it into gear to go forward, there was kind of an external like pipe looking thing that jammed into the motor to like make this thing go forward and backwards. Do you know what that is, Andy? To make it like
the gear shift?
Okay, so the gear shift was the shifting rod was on the outside, and I could see it moving. Well, not on this one, not on the Mercury EFI 4-strokes now.
Pro kicker.
Oh, pro kicker, yes. And so
unlike the amateur.
Yes. So I was like, I'm gonna take the hood off, see what's going on. And then there was a bunch of like crap, so I just like started the troll with the big motor and had the cap back on the kicker, and I was like, it was eating at me, and I was trying to like be personable at the same time, and I was like, excuse me just like 1 minute, I gotta call somebody. I called Andy, and he says, yeah, because generally if you get a call like from, you know, if Andy gets a call from like 9 p.m. on.
Any daylight hours from you to I, he knows it's something.
It's something. He says, yeah. I'm like,
that's how I answered the phone was, yeah.
That's what you did. And I was like, okay, so my kicker is like screwed. Just straight to business, because we all know that's like what this is.
There's no time for pleasantries.
Yes. I'm like, okay, the kicker's not running. It's revving. And but I can't get it to go forward or backwards. And you're like, you know, follow this all the way down, take the hood off, put it in forward, put it in neutral, telling me to do all these things. And I have to ask the client like to do this for me. And he walks me through it. He's like, what's happening when you put it in forward? I'm like, I'm seeing these brackets move, but they're kind of not catching on one another. And you were like, well, then it's I think you said it was a throttle problem. Like when I told you when I told you the couple givens, you immediately knew that it was a problem with the throttle.
Well, okay, so when you say the throttle, when you put it into gear or you advance the throttle lever, it's shifting when you're doing it. That's why, like, from neutral to where you actually get throttle response is so big on, like, the arc on the controls, is because that initial part is shifting it into forward or reverse. And then you advance your throttle after it's in gear. So once you click it forward, if it's not connected, the motor doesn't know if it is or isn't. It just says, in this stage, this should happen, and then we're going to give you more fuel to the engine. So
you knew that it was that, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and what had happened was a cotter pin was keeping these plastic pieces in place, whatever they were. You could say what
I would call it the linkage. So.
Okay.
The linkage for the shifting that went down the leg into the gearbox. So an outboard motor, where the actual like combustion takes place, you call that like the engine or under the hood. The midsection or the leg is just kind of there to get the drive shaft and stuff under the water. Then you have the lower unit or the gearbox, and there is like a little shift fork down in the gearbox that, whether this rod, this linkage, is pushed or pulled, changes which gear is engaged with the drive shaft to have the prop spin to thrust forward or reverse. So there's just a whole bunch of nothingness going on in the middle. But to connect the engine to the gearbox, there's these shafts and tubes that run up through here, and all the cams and levers and stuff like that might be used to pull or push this shift rod is under the hood. And like if you were to remove the lower unit for whatever, a maintenance for the water pump or what have you, this would probably be a spot that you remove a cotter pin or a bolt or something so you can then drop the gearbox from the motor, the outboard engine. So
yeah, yes, very good poetry, and that's why I call you. But so this cotter pin fell out, and there was a malfunction in the linkage, and all I needed to do was get another cotter pin to put in place, and everything would be fine.
Tell me you used a 3-aught.
No. So I trolled the rest of the day with the big motor, and then moved into cast after that. And I called Todd. I was like, Todd was having some problems earlier in the day with his kicker, and I was like, you're not gonna believe this, dude. Like, my kicker's screwed. Not to the level that yours is right now, but like they both just kind of crap themselves on the same day, hours apart. And so I was in search for a cotter pin. It's like that's such a small, minute thing, and you gotta. It's got to be the correct size, you know. Of course, this is a hard piece to find.
Now, what did I tell you that? I knew right away because this happened to me one time.
What you said, and what I was so.
Use a piece of leader. Use a piece of leader. The snap.
That's what I put in there.
Is it still in there?
Through? No, not right now.
Oh, okay.
But I used this piece of a snap, like a 120-pound snap, and it did the same thing. It's just a piece of metal wire.
Yeah, bend it around, you're good.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I should probably get this cotter pin. I go to, big box stores. They don't have one. I go to the little places. They don't have one. I go to friggin' Walmart, whatever, big box stores. Don't have one. There's a little shop on the lake. They had a cotter pin, but it's more what I was looking for is the one that kind of zigzags. You could see them on, maybe connecting your hitch onto your truck or stay like that.
But connect thing, yeah.
But all that I could find was the cotter pins that are just straight, and they kind of, if you're aware of boat stuff, like what keeps your prop on through that. Yeah, you have to bend it. So I find the smallest one of those, and it still doesn't fit in this little Mercury part. And we were doing a lot of casting that week. And so, while clients were casting, I was sitting there, and I was like, I had to get this thing to fit somehow, because I know I'm going to be trolling here coming up on this charter. I was like, I'll just shave it down. So I took my hook file, and I'm sitting there and just shearing it and shearing it and shearing it and shearing it, like just making it smaller. And I finally get it down to where it's almost as sharp as like a hook point. And it fits. And I'm like, oh, great. Like, I got it. Like, I'll do this. I'll bend it. We're good to go. I drop it in the motor somewhere.
I knew that was coming. I dropped into that abyss.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, my God. I have no idea where it is. So I was like, I spent like 2 days of casting doing this. Making it small.
It's hard. If you drop a spark plug down in there, it's hard to get out.
Like, where do you get it? You have to take that whole housing off, and I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, I can't believe it. I was so upset, and so I just kind of put my arms up in the air. I was like, I need a quick fix. What I ended up using was like the largest split ring that I could find in my box. and I put it right through the hole and put it on just like you would put on a new hook, and it is working perfectly.
It'll be fine.
And it'll be fine. It's the same thing that, I mean, it's not going to move anywhere. It's a split ring. It's not a cotter pin, you know.
So someone goes to...
I mean, I'm getting fixed before it's like sold. You know?
You take it somewhere and like, look at this.
Like, there's a split ring on there.
Split ring on here.
What kind of split ring is that? That's huge. It's just like it's a
Tell me
ring.
it's a Wolverine, so it's a triple wrap.
No, it was not. It was not a Wolverine triple, you know, wrap. It was just like it was like about, I would say it was quarter inch, maybe a little bit better.
Okay.
Split ring. So it was nice. Just a single wrap. I hate those triple wrap split rings. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Me too.
They get. Yeah. What would you do if you went out like tomorrow, and that was laying on the bottom of your shrouds, and you couldn't shift?
What?
Like a split ring, like it vibrated itself off.
I mean, that would be crazy. But you know, if it could happen to somebody, it would be me. But yeah, I think it's good. I mean, it's running great. You know, I'm hard on the throttle with it. You know, fire it right up, get it going, no ease into it, and that split ring's holding up. And it's a cheap split ring. It's not the quadruple, wrap.
Hardened stainless.
Yeah, those things are terribly annoying because they don't let the hooks sit right in a close pinch on the body of the bait. They're just terrible.
Yeah, they are more difficult.
Yeah.
But how silly did you feel that you had these laying around after you spent that whole time whittling?
Oh man, I was on a mission. Like it was like the finishing parts. It was unbelievable. It was like a wood project almost. You know, you're shaving it down. You're on the last parts. Like this is when you get to enjoy it. You know, you see your work coming together, and you know it's nice and smooth. It fits perfect. And then kerplunk, and then you just hear it hit off other plastic stuff.
It's like those rehabbing those seals. Spent like $60,000 a piece on making these seals, and you let them go, and immediately they get eaten by a killer whale. This is such a great story of redemption. We did this great thing, crunch, and the sea is red.
I was so upset though, like when it happened. And there's people casting in front of me. I'm like, don't mind me back here. I'm just working on something. And I'm like, God,
whittling this out.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, it looked like this all week. two straight days of casting. I was like, all right, I'm going to get these guys to the spot and we're good.
And your knuckles are all like bulged out and your fingers are all curled in, and you're just like, I'm a blacksmith.
I was dead set on doing this. There was like so much silver shit on my index finger and my middle finger from like holding it. Like I almost got a blister from like holding this cotter pin in the right spot to get this thing shaved down to fit.
Your labs come back with exceptionally high heavy metal in your blood.
It was just insane. I mean, the thing was, like, it wasn't even wavy or anything. You know, there were no waves. Like a nice little like 5-mile-an-hour breeze, and it just boom slipped right to the bottom. I was like, awesome. I'm either tying a leader right now or
or tying that knot on your dock rope, jumping off the side.
But it's working, so it's all good there. But yeah, it took me like, I don't know. We didn't troll much, you know. We weren't doing much. We've been casting a lot, but you know, 3 weeks into the season, had a problem with it already. No problem.
Well, you trolled a lot in PA.
Trolled a lot in PA, yeah.
But
it's just weird, these motors, like, I see old motors all the time, especially in PA, rarely up here, that look ancient, that look even older than what I started to fish out of, which was a 9.8 two-stroke Merc, that are still running. They're still running. They're still pushing people around. They're so old that they could look nice in your man cave. You're not going to see that with the motors that we have now. So that makes any sense. I mean, these motors that I'm seeing are older than me.
They were basic metal on metal, minimal electronics.
And I am breaking them in a year.
That's the thing, though. A lot of those older motors, look at my friend Eric. I mean, that one he's running is a 1950 something.
Is it like that white thing? Isn't that a white motor? What is it? Is it Johnson?
Yeah, it's an old Johnson on his old mirror crap. But he can work on it. He gets parts and fixes it. You can't do that with these things. You can't even, like, you got to pull the thermostat. You got to take 18 different things apart so you can even take it out. There's wires and computer or whatever. There's stuff everywhere in front of everything.
It's pretty intimidating stuff to look at, too.
It's the same as a car, you know?
Yeah,
I open up my first car, 350, 4-barrel. You opened it up, you could like jump in there and work on it.
Yeah, and you also got 6 furlongs to the hogshead too.
Yeah, but now you can't. You open the hood. I don't even know where. I can't even find the damn batteries. Half the time they've got them encased in something, and
Yeah.
And it's just the same thing you're doing with these motors. It's just crazy how much stuff is in there.
Blows me away that, like, I'm seeing something that, if was restored in perfect condition, that would be an antique, and I'm sitting here with a brand new one, and I got to 90 days on the water, and it's done. Something happened. It's not done, but something came off of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I know exactly like with what you're saying, but stuff has happened to those other old motors too.
Oh yeah, someone just
no doubt
will fix them.
But a lot of that stuff.
The thing is now is you just go through your warranty, and it's broke, you get a new one sent out to you. That's
there's a disposable mentality with those motors. A lot of this is driven by regulation and emissions, just like in the cars. I remember like the EGR valve on my old Chevy would throw the check engine light, and just after a while you're like, screw it, the thing still runs. It never went into limp mode. But it's just how these things are going. They're trying to get every ounce of performance out of them, every, no pollution and all this. It's the way everything's going. And I can see a certain segment going to all electric outboards.
No doubt.
Here soon. I mean, it's not that far in the future that it's going to be electric. I'm not saying it's going to be better. I'm not saying it's going to be worse. I'm just saying it's probably going to be. I can see how if there's horsepower restriction lakes, there already are like electric onlys, but I'm talking like main outboard stuff. I can see that in the future. Like, hey, this is unlimited speed, electric only, and the people out there with their whatever Tesla outboards, if there's such a thing, going pulling skiers and doing whatever, and huge wakes from all the weight of the batteries, and
and they drive it you can only do it for 1 hour. You have to go recharge.
Yeah,
something will be there, but God, I hope I'm not like the front runner on having that first.
Well,
because it will be destroyed.
you're out there and just like the whole lake, you can just see nothing but fish skeletons as you like dead short the battery and stuns all the
Shock
fish.
everybody.
They all float up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and Andy, you were talking about disposable, and I mean, it's. I've heard that said to me from people in the industry. Oh, well, that kicker, that's just like a disposable item. Run it the way you run it, and then you just get a new one. You're talking about a $4,000 to $5,000 disposable item here.
Yep.
When I started having my problems, we started reading online what's causing this to happen, blah blah blah, and you look it up, and it doesn't matter which one you have. Like, so mine's the 2018 Mercury, but it's not really a Mercury; it's a Tatsu. So it's
And
the
nostalgic.
the Tatsu. The Mercury is a Tatsu.
Yeah, they're rebranded.
They're all the same. It's the same parts. Those are all Tatsus.
Nostalgic look back to 2018.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that was they're all Tatsus. I think they still are now. If you get a 2021, if you can find one. But you start reading about it, and it's like life expectancy of this motor is 1,500 to 2,000 hours.
We can do that in this season if we wanted to.
It says it right there. That's your life expectancy. And it says, like, the average person fishes this much. You should get 7 to 8 years out of this motor. But still, that's an awful low hours, if you ask me, for something that costs $4,000. But that's what it says when you look it up.
Yeah, I mean, based from your lenses, it is. But for the guy that's going to put 20 hours on it a year, that's a lifetime. This is a lifetime motor to them.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Let's just say it's a musky fisherman.
Okay.
Let's say he fishes 2 weekends a year, or every weekend for 6 months. That's 2 days.
That's 50 days.
That's 50 days. So 50 days, 8 hours a day.
That's 400.
400 hours.
If that's all they did was run the kicker.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 4 years. 4 to 5 years if you were doing that. It would probably be more realistically maybe around 7-8 years because you're going to cast some. You're going to, not fish 2 days a week.
Yeah, no doubt. There's some trollers, some people that do it all the time, but my God, if Todd and I have a week of trolling, that's
you could put 50 hours on, no problem.
easily.
Mm. Oh yeah, I've gone to St. Clair. I've gone to St. Clair for a week and put on. You fish there 7 or 8 days a week with the extra day you always try to get when I did those trips. 12-hour days.
Yeah, so you're
No doubt.
60 plus another 30. You could be up near 90 hours, 80, 90 hours.
Yeah. So half-life on these things are a bit short. At least we're using them enough for that, like when they break, and it's obviously years down the line for other people that it's still under warranty.
Yeah, so like if you broke it down to where you're $4,000, and it would have a life expectancy of, let's just say, 2,000 hours, that's $2 an hour. Would you row a boat for $2 an hour?
No.
Now, granted, there's fuel cost added into that, but just the actual the purchase of the unit itself.
But it's still just kind of a shock,
Yeah,
when you see this is the way it's going now. Now it's all going to change and go electric. It really is. But right now, when you're coming into some boat marina and you look at this as Johnson Evan Road here, these are way older than I am right now. uh, 40, 50 years old. Who knows? They're working. And then you got this, new shiny thing, and it's, you got problems with it right out of the gate. It's still just like tough to just, mentally to take it all in at that point. You're just like, Jesus, it's like, yeah, it's new technology, but it sucks.
There's a lot of components and components.
There's a lot of components, and the biggest problem is, if it doesn't hook up the computer, it doesn't tell people what's wrong. They don't know what's going on. I mean, so Andy, you helped me with my kicker that was on my Lund that I had for 16 years. I ran it.
Mm-hmm.
My guesstimate was there's between 7,000 to 8,000 hours on that kicker.
Mm-hmm.
They were wanting me to trash the motor. Remember, because the trim and tilt went out of it.
Yeah.
So I was lifting it up and sticking a
screwdriver or something in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was shoving something in there. I've seen pictures of my boat with that stuck inside. And to replace the thing, you could hardly find it. It was $800. Don't even worry about it. Don't do that. But I was talking to Andy about it, who is the guru at this stuff. He's like, well, I asked people, can't you just? I mean, what's wrong with the trim and tilt? Why can't you just rebuild that little cylinder? No one wanted to do it. Andy did it. I think we did it for $90.
I think we did it for less than. I think it was like $20 in parts. So like what was happening was like the one seal was going and it couldn't pump up. It was just muddling in its own filth, and it would not transfer fluid from one to the other. If it's not sealed, it's not going to work. Now it lasted a year or two, and then we had to do it. I think I did it twice. I had to buy the seals, and you take it apart. But by that time, stuff is wore out. But you were able to get a few more years out of it. For another guy, that could have lasted another 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of this stuff is, and it's not. I'm not throwing mechanics and marinas under the bus, but these people just don't. It's easier to just buy the part and put the part on than to diagnose and repair what needed. Because, it was an $800 pump. Well, this seal's bad, and if we're doing this seal, we might as well do this one, and there's this, and all right, how does this work? Oh, okay, these are all standard off-the-shelf. Buy them from McMaster-Carr. They're here the next day. And get your hands a little dirty.
No one wants to repair anything.
Yeah.
No, it's big Band-Aid stuff.
Yeah, and it
can be ripped right off.
And I hear these stories all the time. No one wants to even... I'm sure you guys seen the meme going around saying something like, how this generation's soft. When I used to buy a car, the manual gave instructions how to adjust the valves. They're kind of going along with that. People are buying new boats, and not so much anymore because everything's 4-stroke. They'd blow their motors up, and they're like, this motor's junk. And they're like, well, you never put oil in it. They're like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, there's an oil reservoir. Well, how was I to know that? Well, anymore, instructions are thrown out the window. I know what to do. Just hit this thing and go. And there's no caution to maintenance. There's no caution to hey, don't do it this way. Don't start your motor while the boat's on the trailer and you're untying it just so it's warmed up when you get it in the, stuff like that. They don't know it. But yeah, it's it's a different time, and
I feel like that time that this isn't even perfected, and we're already jumping into something else.
Yeah, it's like you went from cassette to CD to digital music very quickly, and I can kind of see. I guess I have hopes that when times aren't as good, people are going to get more crafty with their repairs and stuff. But while times are good, there's no need to have to worry about that stuff. Just go buy a new one, or we're just going to do it like this. But who knows? Jumping into electric, I mean, it's going to be interesting. it's not the motors themselves. It's how are you storing the energy, which I think is the biggest holdback right now for this electric. Deep cycle batteries are not the answer for a outboard for any length of runtime and recharge.
Yeah.
Something's got to change, and whenever they figure that out, I think it's going to open a whole new world of just possibilities there. I'm not saying it's the answer. I'm not saying it's not the answer, but it's right now. That's what's on the horizon. So,
a whole new world. I think it was
point of view.
Yeah.
That's Aladdin.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So, Todd, you got any fun things to add story-wise?
Oh, jeez.
It's a lot.
It's
really
lot.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think Todd can agree. Like, I'm really enjoying fishing right now at Chautauqua Lake, and the casting of the Raptor has been so fun. More fun than any June that I can imagine in the last 3 years.
So fish have been popping?
It's just a great, I mean, it's just good.
It has to do with, it has to do with size. Would you agree? I mean, numbers, nothing like what I'm expecting or used to seeing, catching.
Well, it is June though.
Yeah,
it is June.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very
I've had 3 times the numbers in June before, but lots
right,
of the numbers of big ones over the top.
Yes,
for June. Yeah,
yes.
So it's a quality right now versus quantity.
It's quality versus.
And you're working for them.
Well, yeah, but it's fantastic. Like I don't care to see 50 fish in a day following. It's good for business.
Mm-hmm.
We've done that for the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're hitting. They're hitting with people that don't know what they're doing at points.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very refreshing and new feeling to this 2021 season.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that it's nice. It's nice to do that. I don't care to go out there in clear water and see a million of them. Like I said, good for business. People love it. After a couple days, talk and agree. As a guide, you sit there and you're just like,
never going to hit it.
They're not going to hit it.
Everyone's all excited. Hey, oh my gosh, what should I have done different? Like, nothing.
Yeah.
I really
M80.
wasn't going to hit when I saw him coming out there 5.
Yeah, and then sometimes it flips out. It's like, no, it'll be like, oh, follow him. It's not going to hit. I'm like, oh, shit. Why'd I say that?
Yeah. Go ahead. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm used to that, fishing Chautauqua for so long and going back, 20 years ago when it was like, oh, geez, we only saw 45 fish today. That's not happening for us right now. But the quality of fish we're seeing was different, so it's harder for me, I guess. But I don't know. I like seeing the big ones and catching the big ones for sure. I think most clients would rather have a little more action, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, you can't control that.
No, but I would say that this is the best casting June we've had in a couple years.
Oh, for sure.
And they are and the fish are cooperating.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Todd and Vance hooking the fish or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're
I
hitting.
got my first one casting today of the whole season. That's
Right
how
on.
fishing. I haven't casted at all.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I caught a fish. Thanks.
That's big.
Yeah.
I've done that. I got to do that too. I got to catch a fish. That was huge. That was fun. But yeah, quality over quantity and strikes over follows.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're looking for those days.
done.
I mean, it's really like muskie fishing to me right now, Vance. Like those days when we get those hot and sunny, calm days, and you can see clear down there. Those are days we're seeing them. Like this morning, had that big rain.
Mm-hmm.
It was overcast.
Big
we
thunder.
were casting. We had one follow. We had 4 bites.
Much better than 40 dollars.
Those days, but those days, that's when it's happening for us. That's when it's been happening for me so far the month of June. You know, when you get that nasty day or that overcast day or that front rolls in, boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, boom, they're hitting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you need. You just didn't do very well on these bluebird days when some of the days we did see 15 or 20 fish, maybe get a bite here and there. But that's all it took. So far this year for me.
Yeah.
It was overcast, nasty days. It was like, okay, we're going to get some fish today to commit and hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like textbooking it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
They're reading the book a little bit.
June's always crazy up here. I mean, you go from extreme to extreme. You know, people want to sell their campers to I'm having a good day because I caught one. That's just how June has always been since I've ever done this. People get nervous about it, but it's tough to pattern them in these months. You know, like today, I went off of. I'll just say, like, we went 5, 8, 5, 1 today, being in the same area, and it's just a tough time to pattern things in June. When July, August comes around, easier to pattern. I would say the best pattern now is to cast. Other than that, it's like I got one hit a lure that was, you know, I'm trolling. I got one hit that was 5 foot down. I got one hit that was 10 foot down. Try to repeat it. Okay. The days that I have a lot of numbers, it's like they hit every single bait that I had out, and I don't know what to do the next day. It's just like, okay, they're out there doing whatever. Who knows?
It's because there's bait fish everywhere. I mean, you got to remember, this is the lake. Well, today there's less bait than there was yesterday.
Yes, it's been.
And that's not going to change. Everything is hatched. Every fish that is in that lake until next spring is in that lake.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got to wait till they munch a lot of those little white bass down and all that stuff. Then it'll start consolidating. That's what you deal with in the spring. There's just bait everywhere. You can just, and that's why the fish are everywhere. They're up high, they're down low, they're out over 48 feet of water. They're in the weeds. They're up by the docks. But every day, you got to think, every perch out there is eating little baby perch, little baby minnows. All those white bass are eating. All the walleyes are eating. The muskies, the gar, everything is eating. Every day, the poundage of feed in that lake is going down every single day. Millions, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe a million. I would say a million.
Thousands of walleyes, tens of thousands of walleyes, thousands of muskies, thousands of gar. It probably is a million fish in there eating each other every day.
Yeah.
when you talk about perch, eating little perch. So that the number is going down, 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 down. And as summer progresses, you don't run into that bait. Now you have to find the bait. When you find the bait, then you find the fish. Right now, it's just anywhere.
Yeah, and do you notice in the early season how you get these stalks of bait that are kind of north and south,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then throughout the season it kind of it goes horizontal.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a nice that's a nice pattern for people to find. You know, they're north and south right now. So say you're in 20-foot water, you run over a bait patch. It might spread out 20 feet to your left and right. But when you run over it and you're looking at it on your sonar and you're down imaging, it's straight up and down. It's at 5 feet to the floor.
Yeah.
All over the place. It's so like when you're targeting muskies in that area, that's why you're getting these crazy hits that are like, I got hit on the high rod, I got hit on the low rod. It's like, well, where do you want to eat today? 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet? What, you know, it's
wherever you want to go. They
Yep.
can go wherever they want to go. You can see it in the weed beds. There's times where we're casting on the edge of those weed beds when it was like, what's that right there? And you can look down. It looks like a weed bed. It's not a weed bed.
It's an enormous pile.
It's like
perch.
2,000 little perch, and they kind of come up at your bait and then they go back down. And you see that I'm seeing it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
When the water's right and you can look into the water. Last evening, it was just incredible how many fish there were. I was like, it is just unbelievable. The weed beds are like alive. So is the open water.
Yes, it is. Certainly is.
Well, that's fun.
I got to bag a client's 50-inch fish on a raptor, and it was wild. I waited. There was a front coming in, and I had fished in evenings prior. And I mean, it's not anything for us to pull in and cast and see bait flickering on the surface and making some nervous noises, things like that. You know, like, and you look over and there's just like a 10-foot diameter ripple on the water. It's bait. So there's a front that comes in. I'm looking at it. I'm like, we should probably go in, take some cover, but it's too late. So I position the boat in the direction that this front is coming in, and we just sit there for a minute. That was like 20 minutes. And it passes through. And it's like dead flat calm after that. And you start, I went back into the spot that I was at, and I started seeing the bait on the top, and it wasn't anything crazy, stuff you see before, but it's dead flat calm. It's post frontal. Like, people always talk about that's terrible and all that stuff. But I pulled this weed bed, and I'm like, I put the transom on the back of the weed bed, like, or right on the weed bed. People are casting out on this weed line. And I'm like, you guys, I was like, come back here and look at this. I was like, I've never seen this before. All the days out here, I was looking at keeper, perch, and white perch moving at a clip, like running through the water, like at 10 mile an hour, just like going crazy. Big pods of bait. I'm like, this does it, you're not going to catch one here. It just doesn't happen that way. It's too textbook. And this stuff was moving like crazy. I don't know what it was for. And like 5 casts later, bang, big fish hits. And, bag it. It's a 50 and a half. And I was like, that's crazy. I was like, that is unbelievable that happened.
It
So
might be
it's-
the only time that happens, but you're going to attempt it every time from here on out.
Mhm.
Well, no doubt. I mean, like we're in the spot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be there, but to see those fish moving that fast and how many there were was unbelievable. And then bang, a couple casts later, I'm sitting there with smiles. So,
Right, but you start thinking about the chances.
and the fish was filled with them,
Yeah.
like fresh. You could feel it in his belly. You could see it sticking out. It was like way belly heavy, and then like short tail. This thing was like just gorged, and then decided to eat the raptor. I mean, come on,
Yeah, big
crazy.
old gnarly one. Big
Yep.
old gnarly one. This is how much we know. This is how much time that Vance and I are spending out there. When I saw the picture, I said, Vance, you got that fish. I told him exactly where he caught it, and I could not tell from the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe it was the day before, this fish had a big scar on it. The water is so clear in June up here. Like, these fish are falling, and the guys are like all excited and like figure eighting. Oh my gosh, look at this. And I'm saying it's not going to hit as we do, but I'm like, oh, look, he's stalked, and he's missing the back fin.
Yeah.
You can see every mark, scar. I can see their eyeball. As soon as I saw the picture, I was like, I saw that fish yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Following a glider, dead flat calm. And it was exactly where they caught the fish.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's also a little,
Just-
like, it takes away the mystery. Oh, yeah, Mr. Big lives over here. Go find him.
He lived, they do live places in the spring, there's no doubt.
Yeah,
I've gone back and seen them numerous times and be like, that's that same damn fish. We got to catch him. I don't see it that much later on, but
Yeah, no doubt. This early season is like a time where you can catch one sleeping.
yeah.
I feel like it's like the rut almost.
Yeah,
Like
you can
for
go
deer
back
hunting.
and say there's a good one that's shown himself a couple times right here in this little bend or this little